Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Please accept mine. All glories to Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. It's so good to see you.
Wonderful to see you. Just great.
We have an extraordinary Kartik month. And certainly one of the sad issues is that thousands and thousands of devotees are not making it to Kartik in Vrindavan due to this terrible COVID-19 disease. So the GBC Strategic Planning Team has produced and is producing over 100 postings and video events about Vrindavan and about Kartik to serve the devotees that are just not able to make it to Kartik. Okay. And these will be going on for the month. And we are very, very fortunate and thrilled, actually, that you are kicking this effort off. And of course, I have to tell the audience why. It is because you are famous, actually. You might not like me to say that kind of thing, but because you're a humble soul, but you are famous for your understanding of Vrindavan, the amount of time that you've spent there, how much video and pictures that you've taken, how much you've published on Vrindavan. It's significant effort on your part, a lifelong effort. My understanding is you first went to Vrindavan in 1976, came back again in 1979, and since then have been to Vrindavan each and every year, often 2 or 3 times per year since then. Is that correct?
That's true. That's correct. Yeah. It's just, it's very deep in my heart. I can't stop myself.
That's just a spontaneous attraction to the Lord, and the Lord, of course, is non-different than Sri Vrindavan Dham. Right. I think most of our audience knows you, but in case there's a few members on our audience that don't, you are a GBC member. You serve as an initiating spiritual master. Of course, you're a sannyasi. You're a very educated person. I think you spent multiple years working with educational institutions around ISKCON, and but then particularly this effort that you've made to know and then to help others know Vrindavan is a big part of your life. So we thank you so much. I think we're ready to begin because you're the highlight in the beginning of the GBC strategic planning effort to help people get closer to Vrindavan during this COVID period of time.
Okay, yeah. Well, thank you very much, Gopal Bhatta Prabhu, for giving me the chance. And we're gonna start the program over three days, visiting the 7 main temples, the Goswami temples. So yeah, we're ready. Tonight we're going to go to Madan Mohan of Sanatan Goswami. Then we'll go to Radha Govinda of Rupa Goswami, and with photos, some nice pastimes and so on. I think it's a great way to start the program.
That's wonderful. And then on day 2, tomorrow, you will continue this 3-day series. That will be starting at 6 a.m. Pacific time. I believe that's going to be 7:30 IST, right, because there'll be in the US a time change. And then on Monday again at 6 a.m. Pacific time, which I believe again is 7:30 IST. So we would like our audience to know that this will continue for 3 days. Okay, so without further ado, go ahead and begin, Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Okay, so devotees, first of all, let us offer our obeisances to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharne Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pastyacha Deshatarane. And then also Panchatattva, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Sri Advaita Gadadha, Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And to all of you viewers, Vanchakalpatarubhyas Jagripa Sindhubhya Evacha, Padidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So yes, we're beginning our Vrindavan Parikrama this evening by visiting the first two of the original temples of Sri Vrindavan Dham. We're going to visit the Madan Mohan Temple of Sanadan Goswami and the Radha Govinda Temple of Srila Rupa Goswami. So let us get underway. So here we are. We just arrived in Vrindavan. Look at that. How beautiful. How wonderful. So, yeah. This is the Madan Mohan Temple, the old Madan Mohan Temple, the original Madan Mohan Temple from way back. And it was here that Sanatan Goswami would spend a lot of time. It was his base, really. And he'd move around on parikrama from here, but then he'd always come back here and he'd place Madan Mohan on the branch of a tree here, offer what is called bhati. We'll tell you about that in a moment. So, okay. Here we see beautiful view. Oh, it's just so amazing, actually. And I think now is the time. Let's go up. Let's go up by the back route off the Parikrama Path. Let's go up to the temple. Here we are at the temple on top of what is called Dwadash Aditya Til. So up here, it's just kind of behind the main temple, we find this little shrine. And you can see it's written on it, Dwadash Aditya Til. Let me just explain what happened here. Is that after the Kaliya Leela, the subduing of the Kaliya serpent, Krishna was very wet and cold. He'd been submerged there. He'd been, exposed to the elements for hours in the grip of Kaliya. So he wanted to dry off and warm up. So he came up to the top of the hill here, at the back of where the temple is now. And he stood here, and Surya, the sun god, manifested himself in 12 forms. Dwadash means 12, Aditya, 12 suns. And they warmed Krishna up really nicely up here. From here we get a view. This is an old photo. I mean, old like 20 years ago. Would it be, or more, it's like 25 years ago. A photo which I took. This road coming through, this is the Parikrama Path. Actually, the river used to run through here, but now, of course, the times have changed. Let's see how it looks in more recent times. There you can see that's the more recent, what used to be the riverbed, actually, of the Yamuna. And on our left here, you see these little turrets and little structures, little domed structures. They were bathing ghats with the stairs going down. Anyway, okay, so what we've done now, we've gone from the back of the Madan Mohan temple. We've come around to our left, and we're just behind the temple, or to the left-hand side, pretty much overlooking the Parikrama Path. And you can see this it's actually a well in front of us. Please don't touch with dirty hand. Yes. So that well, the box, the sort of whitish box with Sri Radha written on it in Devanagari, that's where there's there's a sort of a tank there for holding the water, which is coming from the well, which is on the right side. You can see where the bucket is and the tin. Yeah, the actual well is down there on that right side. And it's said that when Sanatan Goswami was living here, then there was, he's up from the river, and to save him the trouble of having to walk down to the river every time he needed water, Madan Mohan, with his flute, he dug this well. Would you believe? He dug this well. And previously, going back 20 years or so, there was just a bucket on a rope which they'd bring water up with. Now they've got a pump. But this is the well dug by Madan Mohan for Sanatan Goswami. And then just behind, you can see there's a little white structure with no photos written on it. Anyway, please forgive us, because we tend to take photos. This is actually the Bhajan Kutia of Sanatan Goswami. Not actually the original structure, but this is where he would actually live or stay when he was visiting Vrindavan town, because he was out on Parikrama the great majority of the time with Madan Mohan. And here we see, look at this. This is the little altar inside the Bhajan Kutia. This is the little altar with a little Pratibhu deity of Madan Mohan. And just coming around a little further, just a few meters, inside here, this used to be the temple room of the 6 Goswamis before other temples were built. Yeah, this used to be the temple room, and they would have kirtan there. All the Goswamis, 6 Goswamis, would gather here for kirtan. Here we are, we've just come out on the other side. Yeah, and you can see the structure, what used to be the temple room. It's inside there. And just up to our left from where we're standing right now, just up to our left is the big dome, the main dome we saw at the beginning. And there, the local Babajis who are maintaining the place, they have their own little altar. And this is their own little altar with Gornitai, and in the center, Pratibhu deities of Madan Mohan, who Sanatan Goswami used to worship. Now, from here, let's go down from here. Now we're coming down on the other side, on the front side. We came up behind this big dome. The altar we just saw is just between these 2 ladies who are coming down, just that sort of dark space between them. That's where the altar is that we just saw. And we came up from the Parikrama Path from behind this big dome. So down we go, and we are from here. We're going to go to Sanatan Goswami's Samadhi. From where we are right now, it's to the left of this big dome and back. To the left of the big dome, but further back. You'll get an idea when you see the photos which are coming. So we're on our way down. En route, we meet a Vrindavan parrot, one of Vrindadevi's parrots. She has 100,000, 1 lakh of parrots that fly around Vraj Mandala every day, reporting back to her what pastimes Radha and Krishna are performing and where they're performing them, so that she, Vrindadevi, can then make different nice arrangements for the forest settings, for their pastimes. So anyway, now we're down behind the Madan Mohan Temple. Actually, this is the Samadhi. This is the Samadhi of Sanatan Goswami. His transcendental body is interred underneath here. Since we took this photo, they've actually improved it a little. They've made a kind of an awning out over this checkered black and white stone area in front of the building. But anyway, this is the Samadhi, and that's me. That's us offering our obeisances. And here you can see, there's the Samadhi on our left there, just behind this, looks like a tamal tree. And up there, you can see, of course, the old Madan Mohan Temple. Right. And there's a few Samadhis around of other devotees. But here now, let's have a look. Let's go inside the Samadhi of Sanatan Goswami. So this is the actual Samadhi deity. It's like traditional Samadhi deity for great Vaishnavas. The transcendental body of Srila Sanatan Goswami is interred just directly beneath that. And on our right, you can see a picture, a painting. Well, there's the sign, of course. You can see the sign in between, Srila Sanatan Goswami Samadhi, Srila Sanatan Goswami Pad Ki Samadhi in Hindi or Sanskrit. And on the far right is the picture. This is Sanatan Goswami feeding Madan Mohan. Let me just tell you that story. It's an interesting one. So Sanatan Goswami, as we said, he would normally travel around with Madan Mohan somehow. They travel around on Parikrama, around Vraj Mandala. And Sanatan Goswami, he was an extreme renunciate. He would just hardly eat. And every day he would, whatever people might give him, he would offer to Madan Mohan, then eat. But oftentimes he'd get nothing. And oftentimes he might just get some uncooked rice, which when he was staying here at the where the Madan Mohan, the old Madan Mohan temple is, he would just soak that uncooked rice in Yamuna water. So it's a little soft, so it's not too hard and crunchy, difficult to eat raw rice. So at least it was slightly soft. So, and then he just offer it to Madan Mohan. Other times he'd get some flour and he would soak the flour in Yamuna water roll it into balls, and throw the balls, they're like dough balls, throw them into a fire and let them just, they're in the actual fire, and then take them out, break off the black crust that would be there from being directly in the fire. And inside you get a little round ball of bread. This is called bhati. Bhati. So here we see now a picture. Sanatan Goswami is offering Madan Mohan a ball of bhati. And the story goes that one day when Sanatan Goswami, right at this place here, where the old Madan Mohan temple is, one day all he got was some flour, so he made some bhati, threw it in the fire, took it out, broke off the crust, and here he is offering it to Madan Mohan, and Madan Mohan sort of nibbled at it, and he understood this is just flour and water. It doesn't even have any salt or anything. And Madan Mohan said to Sanatan Goswami, listen, can't I at least have some salt with my bhati? And Sanatan Goswami, initially, he had taken Madan Mohan from a house in Mathura, a house belonging to a Brahmin family named Chobe. And the head of the family, Chobe, the chief Brahmin, he was a disciple of Advaita Acharya. Because Advaita Acharya, when he was living in Vrindavan, just near this temple, just down the road, maybe 50, 60 meters or something like that, from the old Madan Mohan temple. So Advaita Acharya, he located Madan Mohan and he worshipped Madan Mohan while he was staying in Vrindavan. When he left Madan Mohan with Chobe. It's a long story, we won't go through all the details, but Sanatan Goswami, in his dream, Madan Mohan told him that here I am in this house, I want to go on Parikrama with you. So Sanatan went, took Madan Mohan from Chobe, and in the house of Chobe, Madan Mohan had been eating nicely, but now it was just, some bhati and things like that. So here in this picture, Madan Mohan is saying, can't I at least have some salt with my bhati? And Sanatan Goswami is saying, I knew you'd complain. I'm going to take you back to Chobe, and they'll give you nice deep fried sabji with puri, and you'll live very nicely. If you're going to complain like this, that's what I'm going to do. And Madan Mohan said, no. I want to come with you. So I'll take my bhati without any salt. Yes, so that happened here. This is the older Samadhi deity, actually from many years ago. Okay, anyway. Now we're walking around from the Samadhi building. We went to the left, then we turned right, going around, circumambulating the Samadhi building. And here at the back, more or less behind the Samadhi building, behind and slightly to the left, this is what they call the Grunt Samadhi. The Grunt Samadhi. Grunt means scripture. And it is said that Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami, when he first arranged for the books of all the 6 Goswamis, which he had been keeping after their disappearances, when he had them sent, or copies of them sent to Bengal with Srinivasacharya, Narottam Das Thakur, Shyamananda. That's a very famous story, how they took the books to Bengal from Vrindavan. So at that time, Sanatan Goswami, there were some books of the Goswamis which he felt were just too esoteric for the people in general. So he buried them here. And therefore this is called the Grunt Samadhi, the Samadhi of the scriptures, the very esoteric, very intimate literatures written by the 6 Goswamis. So we come around, we've come right around actually, right around, and we're on our left again is the Samadhi building, the main Samadhi. But here we see 2 other Samadhis. On our left is the Samadhi of Tapan Mishra, a very intimate, very close associate of Lord Chaitanya. And on our right is the Samadhi of Chandrashekar, who's another very close associate of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And these are their little Samadhi deities. You saw the big one that Sanatan Goswami had, because he's especially important. Now here, you know what's happened now? Just across, and I mean, we're talking about 15 meters from the, at least from the boundary wall of the old Madan Mohan Temple, is the new Madan Mohan Temple. And these are the new Radha Madan Mohan deities which are in that temple. It's a very nice temple. It's a beautiful temple, actually. And nice deities, nicely looked after. This is Radha and Madan Mohan, with Lalita on our left and Vishaka on our right. Let's have darshan here. We photographed them on different days. Yeah, closer up. Shri Madan Mohan Ki Jai. Srimati Radharani Ki Jai. And now, look at this. Just look at this. You know what this is? This is the Govardhan Shila of Sanatan Goswami, which he personally worshipped, which is it's being held there at the new Madan Mohan Temple by the devotees there. And they're basically nice devotees. They're caste Goswamis. And if you ask them nicely, they'll show you. I think many devotees are not aware that this Govardhan Shila is here, but there he is. Look at that. And now, this is something special. This is something really special. We have just quickly zipped across, really quickly, to Karoli. Karoli is a town kind of on the way from Vrindavan to Jaipur. I mean, kind of on the way. You drive, it's not really halfway, maybe a quarter or a third of the way on the road to Jaipur from Vrindavan. Then you take a left and you drive, it might be an hour or something like that. Nice drive. And you reach the village of Karoli. And here we see right in front of us, look at this. This is the original Madan Mohan, 5,000-year-old deity. You know how the story goes? The story goes that after Lord Krishna left this world, and all his close associates left this world, then practically they'd all left this world. Even Vajranab had left this world. He was the great grandson. He's the one who established many of the, at least the places where the pastimes took place, and sometimes some shrines and little temples like that. So the only one left living who had seen Krishna was Uttara. Uttara was the daughter-in-law of Arjuna. Look at this. This is the original Madan Mohan. This is a photo that we took with Radharani and Lalita. And you must know, it's impossible to photograph this deity. It's simply impossible. But there you see a proper nice photo. So Uttara was the only one left who had seen Krishna. And so they asked her, we want to make a deity of Krishna. Can you tell us what he looks like? So Uttara gave a description, and they made, first of all, this Madan Mohan. And then they asked Uttara, please come have a look. Does this look like Krishna? And she looked at this deity and she said, this looks just like Krishna up to the waist. Up to the waist. He has the hips of Krishna. So, but the rest, was kind of a little approximate. So they went back to the drawing board and just hang in there. In maybe 10 minutes or so, we'll tell you what happened next. But anyway, here, this is Lalita, and this is, oh no, that was Radharani. This is Lalita. Right. So, there you go, devotees. That's our visit, first of all, to the Madan Mohan temple, Madan Mohan deity, to begin our Vrajmandal Parikrama for this Kartik month. Now, we will go to Jaipur and we will visit the original Sri Sri Radha Govinda. Look at Radha Govinda. Aren't they absolutely fabulous? So, after they had made Madan Mohan, and Uttara had told them, he looks just like Krishna up to the waist. Then, so back to the drawing board, as they say, and then they made Govinda. And they called Uttara. And, there are different versions, frankly. There are different versions. But in one version, when Uttara saw this deity of Govinda, she said, this looks just like Krishna up to the neck. He's got the chest of Krishna. And of course, he was worshipped on his own for quite some time. And then this deity of Radharani was given by Mother Janava, actually. So anyway, here we are. We're in Jaipur city. It's a pretty substantial city. And this is the main entrance going into the grounds of the Govindaji temple in Jaipur. This is the actual temple itself. And here now we're inside the temple, and those kind of pinky orangey gates we see, that's where the altar is. And you can see they're on the ball as far as their standards are concerned. You see these two signs, yellow signs with red writing on the pillars here. The one on the left says Purush, means man, and the one on our right says Mahila, means ladies. Okay, so let's have another darshan. So the curtains are opened. They let the sort of, you might say VIPs or whatever, come close. Otherwise, you have to stand back some way. Here you see the people standing back. This is in the middle of the day, I think, or maybe the morning, like 9 o'clock darshan. And just see how many people have gathered. Oh, they love Govinda. You can come any time there's darshan, particularly when there's arti, and the crowd will be like this or greater. So here we are again. Here are some darshans of Radha Govinda. Absolutely amazing deities. And this is Govinda at Mongolarity during Kartik. We were there a few years ago. And you can see it's all wrapped up. It's a bit cool. And Radharani's a little wrapped up also. The lotus feet of Radha Govinda. And this is a special little deity of Gaura Govinda. This is called Gaura Govinda. It's kind of like combination of Krishna and Lord Chaitanya. He was worshipped by Kashishvara Goswami, one of the bodyguards of Lord Chaitanya. And here's Lalita, here's Vishaka. And now we have zipped back to Vrindavan town, and here is the old Govinda Temple. We don't have so much time to go into all the historical details, but as you can see, there are basically in the front here, there are 3 levels. There are 3 fairly clear levels. There were 7, so it was considerably bigger. But the top 4 were pulled off by Aurangzeb. Yeah. So anyway, still, you can see it's so beautiful. It was actually built directly by Raghunath Das Goswami as a service to Srila Rupa Goswami, who was present at the time, but who was old by that time. And here, anyway, this is a little side view. And now we'll go in for darshan. So here we are inside, and you can see it's just so beautifully done. Unfortunately, not extremely well maintained, but not too bad. Yeah. So let's go up, have a look at the altar, which is here now. It's the altar just of the devotees who are running this place now. It's sort of owned, so to speak, from Jaipur. But the local devotees who are running the temple, these are their deities. Madan Mohan, it's like Pratibhu deity of Madan Mohan in the center, and Gaunitai and Jagannath, of course, in the front. And on our right, you see, wrapped in a tulsi garland, just above the marble plaque at the bottom, that's now a special Govardhan Shila. So this is the Madan Mohan there in the old temple. And look at this. Isn't this an amazing Govardhan Shila? Just amazing. Incredible Govardhan Shila. Being worshipped there nicely. And again, the pujaris there, they're really nice. They're extremely nice, actually. And if you ask them nicely and give a little donation, then they may, these are their shalagram shilas. Yeah, like that. But if you ask them nicely, they may take you into this building, or it's part of the temple building actually, at the back and on the left. Here is where the original 5,000-year-old deity of Yoga Maya is. And they say that down here, if you go up the stairs through the door, then there's stairs going down inside. They say this is where Srila Rupa Goswami would chant japa oftentimes. So if you ask them nicely, if you can see the deity of Yoga Maya, then they'll take you down. They'll open up and take you down. And so here we go. Look at this. This is Yoga Maya, the daughter of Mother Yashoda, the one who was brought back by Vasudeva when he had taken Krishna over to Gokula and left Krishna with Mother Yashoda in the middle of the night. That he brought back the female child who, when Kamsa came to try and kill her in the prison cell, that Yoga Maya jumped out of his hands. He was going to throw her on the rock, on the floor, jumped out of his hands, flew in the sky and chastised him. This is 5,000-year-old deity of that Yoga Maya. And now this is our last stop. Don't go away, because we're going to tell you a nice story about Rupa and Sanatan. Oh, we're going to tell you a nice story. It's just really nice. But now we're still in Vrindavan. We are behind the old Radha Govinda Temple. If you go back there, it's not 100, it's maybe 50 meters or something, is the new Radha Govinda Temple. And unfortunately, unlike the new Madan Mohan Temple, where they at least allowed us to take photos, unfortunately here, they don't allow photos. But, we took one anyway, although unfortunately it's not of a good quality. Sorry about that. But these are the new Pratibhu Radha Govinda Temple, Radha Govinda deities in the new temple behind the old temple in Vrindavan town. Yeah, so there you go, devotees. There you go. It's really, it's very important. Vrindavan Dham is very important. I think what shall I do here? What am I going to do? I think I'll go back into the slideshow, actually. Just give me a moment. I'll go back. Here we are. Look at that. We're back in the slideshow. And let's just meditate on the Madan Mohan Temple for a while, built by Sanatan Goswami. Let us just take some minutes. You've got a little time. Yeah, I don't think we've got anything better to do. Let's have a little katha about Srila Sanatan Goswami and Srila Rupa Goswami. Sanatan Goswami, of course, is the eldest of those brothers. His brothers were Rupa, of course, and then Anupam was the youngest brother, who's the father of Srila Jiva Goswami, but unfortunately passed away at a relatively young age. Yeah, shame. But Sanatan Goswami is the eldest, and even though Srila Rupa Goswami is regarded as being the most important, I mean, he is the most important, actually, and sort of like the leader of the 6 Goswamis. But Sanatan's the oldest, and Rupa Goswami basically accepted Sanatan Goswami as one of his spiritual masters. Of course, they were both initiated by Lord Chaitanya himself, but still Rupa Goswami considered Sanatan one of his spiritual masters. And Sanatan worshipped Madan Mohan, and Rupa worshipped Govinda. Madan Mohan is the presiding deity of the stage of devotional service called Sambandha. Sambandha means relationship. And it basically means that the stage of devotional service where you're just getting into it and just connecting up with Krishna, getting into the process, and just taking up the practices, but in rudimentary ways. Just as a matter of interest, here, look. There's the old temple, the big dome there. That's where the current altar is. We saw that. Then just to the left, you see that raised area with the wall in front. That's the Dwadash Aditya Til, where that pastime with Krishna being warmed and dried by the 12 suns took place. And that little shrine we saw earlier, it's in that little raised area there. Whereas the Samadhi of Sanatan Goswami, you can see it, right? You can see it there. Just behind this wall, which is directly in front of us, you can see that roof with the 3 little, I don't know, what would you call them, little sort of turret type things. That is the Samadhi of Sanatan Goswami. Now, whereas Rupa Goswami, he worshipped Govinda. Govinda is the presiding deity of the next stage of devotional service, which is called Abhideya. And Abhideya means practice, regular practice, like wholehearted, being very absorbed in practicing devotional service to Lord Krishna. So Govinda, well, Madan Mohan means Krishna, who's the attractor of Cupid. That if you start getting into Krishna consciousness by just learning about it and understanding that you have a relationship with the Lord, then Madan Mohan will protect you from Cupid. You know, we all know Cupid's pretty powerful. And Cupid is not just in charge of arousing sex desire, but any type of material desire, really. So in the beginning, Madan Mohan protects us from Cupid so we can get focused in Krishna consciousness. And then he hands us over to Govinda. Govinda means the Lord of the senses, so we can engage all our senses in devotional service. And we see that Sanatan Goswami, he wrote books which were more like that, kind of connecting us up, like Brihad Bhagavatamrita, connecting us up, helping us to understand we have a relationship. Whereas Rupa Goswami wrote books like Nectar of Devotion, How to Be a Devotee. So now I want to take a few minutes to actually read you. I want to read you a story from Bhakti Ratnakara about Rupa and Sanatan. And it's a good story. Please listen very carefully. It won't take more than 10 minutes. It may take less. So I'm reading now. So the author says, please be always careful in your dealings with the devotees. Let not ill feelings arise in the devotees' hearts towards you. If the devotees think ill of you, that will be a great impediment to your progress. Now, I will tell an anecdote to reveal this truth. So this is the story. One day in Vrindavan, as he was wrapped in meditation, Srila Rupa Goswami felt great bliss in his heart. He saw the following in his meditation. This is what he saw. He entered into this pastime, actually. As the Sakhis were decorating Sri Radha, who wanted to be prepared for Krishna without his knowing. So Lord Krishna, standing behind her, watched. Radhika did not know that Krishna was watching. Krishna revealed his presence to the Sakhis. This brought great joy to their hearts. In wonderful ways, the gopis braided and decorated Radha's hair. Then they placed a mirror before her. As she gazed at the beauty of her face, Radha also saw Sri Krishna's moon-like face in the mirror. Radha was very embarrassed. Quickly, she covered her entire body with a great cloak. The Sakhis happily laughed at this, and Srila Rupa Goswami also laughed. He's in the pastime as Rupa Manjari, but his body is sitting there. And he's in trance. He's not conscious of his external situation at all. And his body laughed. In the pastime as Rupa Manjari, he laughed. But then his body sitting there in meditation in Vrindavan, on this planet, his body laughed, although he was not aware. Okay, at that moment, a Vaishnav, at that moment arrived a Vaishnav who was very eager to see Sri Rupa. Seeing Sri Rupa laughing, the Vaishnav did not say anything. Very sorrowful, he approached Sanatan Goswami. You see, the thing is, it's not mentioned here exactly, but the thing is that he didn't know why. Why is Rupa Goswami laughing? Rupa Goswami's body was looking directly at this devotee. He's looking directly at him, then suddenly he roared with laughter. Rupa Goswami was unaware because he was in the pastime internally with Radha and Krishna and the gopis. But that old devotee didn't know. And he thought that Rupa Goswami thinks I've done something stupid. And he felt very bad. So he went to see Sanatan Goswami to try to understand, what have I done? Why did Rupa laugh at me like I'm some sort of nonsense? So he approached Srila Sanatan Goswami. The Vaishnav said to him, I went to see Sri Rupa. But when he saw me, he suddenly burst into laughter. My heart filled with sorrow. I did not say anything. I do not know why he acted in that way. I've come to ask you of it. Sri Sanatan then explained the true reason for Sri Rupa's laughter. Hearing it, the Vaishnav became repentant at heart. The Vaishnav said, why did I approach him at that moment? Not understanding his heart, I committed an offense. The Vaishnav became very disturbed. Sanatan Goswami made him become calm and peaceful again. At that time, Sri Rupa was plunged in the Lord's pastimes. But when the Vaishnav felt offended, Sri Rupa's bliss suddenly disappeared. Disturbed, Sri Rupa looked in the four directions. In his heart, he was certain that some person had come there. He said, or he thought, I did not honor the person that came. I committed an offense. What to do? Thinking in this way, Sri Rupa went to Srila Sanatan Goswami's place. Seeing Sri Rupa coming, that Vaishnav approached him. Falling on the ground, that Vaishnav offered his respects. To Sri Rupa, he very humbly said, I committed an offense. O great soul, please forgive me. I did not understand how you were wrapped in meditation when I came. Standing before Srila Rupa Goswami, the Vaishnav prayed, please kindly forgive my offense. If you are merciful to me, then my heart can become peaceful. This I say to you. Hearing these words, Sri Rupa became very agitated at heart. Falling to the ground, he offered respectful obeisances. Folding his hands, he said, I have no power to say how great was the offense I committed to you. Please kindly forgive my offense. Both devotees were very humble. Both were filled with the nectar of pure devotion. They both forgave each other. Then they both became peaceful. They both approached Srila Sanatan Goswami. For a long time, they were all plunged in the nectar of talking about Lord Krishna. Everyone heard of this incident with Srila Rupa Goswami. Hearing of it, everyone became filled with wonder. Then the author addresses us. He addresses us. He addresses the devotees in general. He says, O my brothers and sisters, O my brothers and sisters, please be very careful in dealing with the Vaishnavas. Give them even your very breath, so they will forgive your offense. Be careful. Do not see a Vaishnav's faults. Always praise the Vaishnavas. The ancient great devotees say, no one understands the ways of a Vaishnava. Through his dear devotees, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya has taught this truth to us. Hold the devotees' lotus feet to your head and always dive in the nectar of pure devotional service. Hare Krishna. So, devotees, there were some photos and some things about Madan Mohan, about Govinda, about Sanadan Goswami, Rupa Goswami. What a nice way to begin our Vrajmandal Parikrama in this month of Kartik. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. I can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Because I was on mute.
Okay.
Thank you so much. What a wonderful story to end. I did my best to bring the words into my heart, and it caused me to reflect on how I should be more careful in my dealings with devotees. So it left me with a very strong ending. I really appreciate that. Thank you. We have you coming back tomorrow.
Yes.
What will we be covering tomorrow?
Tomorrow we will start with Radha Gopinath.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. And then we'll go to Radha Damodar, and then we'll see. You know, we've got 2 more nights. We've got 5 temples. So, you know, maybe we'll go to a third one. If not, on the following night, we'll visit 3. But definitely Gopinath and Damodar.
Oh, Radha Damodar.
Yeah. Damodar, Vrindavan, Damodar, Jaipur also.
Wonderful. So thank you so much. A beautiful way to start our Kartik. And all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.